World War I 1914 to 1918. World War I. World War I, also known as the Great War, lasted from the 28th of July 1914 to the 11th of November 1918. World War I was fought between the Allied powers and the Central Powers. The main members of the Allied powers were France, Russia, and Britain. The United States also fought on the side of the Allies after 1917. The main members of the Central Powers were Germany, Austria-Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, and Bulgaria. Causes of the war. There were many events that led to World War I. The war happened because of several different events that took place in the years building up to 1914. The new international expansionist policy of Germany. In 1890 the new Emperor of Germany, Wilhelm II, began an international policy that sought to turn his country into a world power. Mutual defense alliances. Countries throughout Europe made mutual defense agreements. These treaties meant that if one country was attacked, allied countries were bound to defend them. The Triple Alliance 1882 linking Germany with Austria-Hungary and Italy. The Triple Entente, which was made up of Britain, France, and Russia, concluded by 1907. Thus, there were two rival groups in Europe. Imperialism. Before World War I, Africa and parts of Asia were points of contention among the European countries because of their raw materials. Militarism. As the world entered the 20th century, an arms race had begun. By 1914, Germany had the greatest increase in military buildup. Great Britain and Germany both greatly increased their navies in this time period. This increase in militarism helped push the countries involved into war. Nationalism. Much of the origin of the war was based on the desire of the Slavic peoples in Bosnia and Herzegovina to no longer be part of Austria-Hungary but instead be part of Serbia. In this way, nationalism led to the war. Assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. In June 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the heir to the throne of Austria-Hungary, was shot while he was visiting Sarajevo in Bosnia. He was killed by a Serbian person, who thought that Serbia should control Bosnia instead of Austria. Because its leader had been shot, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. As a result, Russia got involved as it had an alliance with Serbia. Germany then declared war on Russia because Germany had an alliance with Austria-Hungary. Britain declared war on Germany because of its invasion of neutral Belgium. Britain had agreements to protect both Belgium and France. Some of the major battles during the war included the First Battle of the Marne, Battle of the Somme, Battle of Tannenberg, Battle of Gallipoli, and the Battle of Verdun. Phases of the war. The conflict developed on several fronts in Europe, Africa, and Asia. The two main scenarios were the Western Front, where the Germans confronted Britain, France and, after 1917, the Americans. The second front was the Eastern Front, in which the Russians fought against Germans and Austro-Hungarians. After a brief German advance in 1914, it was a war of attrition. The Western Front remained immovable. Meanwhile, on the Eastern Front the Germans advanced but not decisively. In 1917, two events changed the course of the war. The United States joined the Allies and Russia, after the Russian Revolution, abandoned the conflict and signed a separate peace. The defeat of its Germany's allies and the revolution in Germany that dethroned Wilhelm II, German Emperor, brought about the signing of the armistice on November 11, 1918. The Great War was over. Consequences of the war. Economic consequences. World War I cost the participating countries a lot of money. Germany and Great Britain spent about 60% of the money their economy produced. Countries had to raise taxes and borrow money from their citizens. This led to inflation after the war. Political consequences. World War I brought an end to four monarchies: Tsar Nicholas II of Russia, Kaiser Wilhelm of Germany, Emperor Charles of Austria, and the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire had to step down. New countries were created out of old empires. Austria-Hungary was carved up into a number of independent states. Russia and Germany gave land to Poland. What was left of Ottoman Empire became Turkey. Social consequences: World War changed society completely. Birth rates declined because millions of young men died, 8 million died, millions wounded, maimed, widows and orphans. Civilians lost their land and fled to other countries. The role of women also changed. They played a major part in replacing men in factories and offices. Many countries gave women more rights after the war had ended, including the right to vote. The upper classes lost their leading role in society. Young middle and lower class men and women demanded a say in forming. Treaty of Versailles. On June 28, 1919, World War I officially ended with the signing of the Treaty of Versailles. The Treaty of Versailles was an attempt to prevent the world from going into another war. The US, which had won the war, became a first world power. The triumph of the Soviet Revolution, Russian Revolution, and the social crisis that followed the war encouraged workers in many countries to protest, creating a pre-revolutionary climate. Creation of the League of Nations. The League of Nations was an international diplomatic group developed after World War I as a way to solve disputes between countries before they erupted into open warfare. Thank you.